from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. It is Monday, 8th April 2024. Yes, we are into the second quarter of the year 2024. As I said, it seems as if the year is running away with us, but we're here today on Monday morning. I am Adana Kombi.
And I'm Marcus Daniel. Thank you guys so much for joining Tobago Updates Television morning show. Yeah, Adana.
Right, Marcus, it's Monday. How was your weekend? What happened over the weekend? What activities you participated in?
It was like a bittersweet, right? Because my club, my cricket club, we won 2 titles over the weekend, but I was still got a busted lip, you know. But yeah, I'm here this morning. I'm very thankful. It's return of school as well. It's the first day of school, back to traffic, and all these different things. But yeah, I had a fantastic weekend. I'm looking forward to an even better week.
Well, you know, when you participated in sports, you have to look out for all the, you know, these
I'm a tough
incidents.
Cookie. I'm a tough cookie.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And of course, you know, it's back to school this Monday morning, and we hope that you guys are ready to take the nation's roads safely this morning, getting our children to school safely and also to work on time. All right, before we get into too much of it, we want to go straight on over to the news in 90 seconds.
News in 90 seconds is brought to you by Standards, never beaten on quality and prices.
Thank you, Marcus and Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Monday, April 8, 2024. The Division of Education, Research and Technology announced the resumption of its school nutrition program at all schools under its purview starting today. Parents of regular recipients should note that arrangements have been made for their children to receive breakfast and lunch as scheduled for the remainder of the term. New students should inform their teachers of their interest in joining the program, after which a needs assessment will be conducted. Up next, there is no moratorium on the requirements for vehicles to be inspected and to display inspection stickers. Transport Commissioner Clive Clark stated the motorists caught driving uninspected vehicles could receive a fine of $2,000 and 6 demerit points as stipulated by the Motor Vehicles Road Traffic Act. He urged drivers to visit testing stations and have their vehicles inspected to ensure they meet the criteria required by law. Driving an uninspected vehicle is considered a fixed penalty offense. And finally, Minister of Public Utilities Marvin Gonzalez indicated by the month's end the government will decide whether to increase electricity rates. The recommendations from the Regulated Industries Commission are currently under review by the Cabinet Subcommittee. Gonzalez mentioned the further information had been requested from TNTEC and the RIC to aid in deliberations. However, it is noted that there will be a significant increase in electricity bills if the Cabinet adopts RIC's recommendations entirely, with estimates of a possible 124% rise by 2028. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Life is good with Zero. Zero interest for 6 months. Zero down payments. Zero stress payment plan. That's right. With Standards, my terms, we are putting the power of zero in your hands. Now, you can get that new sectional, fridge, stove, or TV for zero down. Pay zero interest later and enjoy a zero stress payment plan plus quick approval within 48 hours. Standards, never beaten on quality and prices.
Thank you, Brianna, there for the news in 90 seconds. Marcus, you know something striking about the news there? We're talking about increased rates for electricity. Anytime you hear about having to spend additional money is always cause for concern. And we're talking about 124% increase within the next 4 years. I find this to be it's hard for me to come to terms with right now.
Yeah, I mean, but I think probably the saving grace with TNTEC and WASA, I think you pay quarterly, like every 3 months you pay.
Back
you know, but I mean, as you rightfully said, I mean, we all want some, increase disposable income.
Yes.
And every time you have an increase in the services, we feel the pinch as parents,
That's right.
as family members in that sense.
And I don't mind an increase, but when you hear figures like 124%, it's kind of alarming for me, and it's a cause for concern. I mean, increase by a little 10%, 15%, but 100, I know it's over a period of time, but still, it's going to make a dent on the purse.
Yeah.
So I think it's conversations we need to have to get some sort of clarity in terms of how this increase is going to take place as it affects households in and around Trinidad and Tobago. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go straight on over into our birthday shout-outs. And this morning, celebrating a birthday, the only submission for today is Chanel Felix. Yes, Chanel Felix is celebrating a birthday today, and we do want to wish you a very happy birthday, coming to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates Television. This face might be familiar to you, yes. And so we just want to wish you a very happy birthday. We pray God's continued blessings upon your life, and that you do have a wonderful birthday. And before we head on into the rundown, I'd like to just say good morning to some of our loyal viewers this morning. Good morning to Pearl Murray Beard, who's always online sending greetings to us this morning. I want to say good morning to you. Good morning to Ayana Brassi. Good morning, Paul Thomas. Travis Moses. Good morning, Sazid Ahmed. Good morning to you. I see Assemblyman Zorisha Hackett is there. Good morning. Good morning to you guys. Good morning, Terry Trinidad. Avril Allen. Good morning, Emmanuel Morris. Good morning, Brenda Campbell. Good morning to you guys, and thank you so much for choosing the morning show on Tobago Updates Television as we bring information to you about happenings in and around Tobago. So, who are we speaking with today? I'm sure you might have heard over the weekend and the past couple of days that we're going to have a very interesting conversation this morning. Marcus, who are we speaking with this morning?
Of course, we're going to be chatting with Mr. Brian Brung, Managing Director and Coach of the Jarick Titans Sports and Development Club. And obviously, it's in the public domain, nationally, here and abroad, about that infamous trip that they would have made to Manchester. We're just going to have a conversation with Brian, because we did have Brian before they departed to England, and obviously this is just a follow-up as to what would have transpired with that trip to Manchester.
That's right, and we're also speaking with the TTPS, bringing their weekly crime update with happenings in and around Tobago. We speak with Superintendent Ronald Kirk to get that information. So we ask that you stay with us, because we want to have these very interesting conversations this morning as we bring the information to you. And of course, we have to go for a short break before we start the conversation. And when we go for the break, what do? We invite you to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
You're the prize, you're the queen.
March Madness at Standard Distributors Limited. Get $100 back for every $1,000 you spend. Major appliance deals on Frigidaire, Hyacinth, Samsung, and more. Plus, same-day financing options available. Don't miss out. Sale ends March 31st. Standard, never beaten on quality and prices. Deltec Distributors, best deal. 3 pounds pork, goat, chicken, turkey, beef, 5 meats, 3 pounds each, $300. Best deal. Or you could try 5 pounds pork, goat, chicken, turkey, beef, 5 meats, 5 pounds each, $500. Best deal. $20 delivery. Call me now. 359-5040 or 237-0102. Order online at www.deltecdistributors.com or check with Mainwood, Argyle, Tobago. Deltec Distributors, best deal. deal. Scrub Ties brings to you our organic fat dissolving shots. Yes, guys, our lemon butter shots breaks down stubborn fat, tightens any loose skin while increasing your metabolism. No side effects, no downtime. We also offer cavitation, cellulite treatment, butt, breast, hip dip fillers, weight loss, fertility IVs, and much more. Contact us on 495-6624 or follow us on Instagram at Scrub Ties Body Contouring.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. It's just about 7:10 a.m. and we begin our conversations this morning. We're speaking with Superintendent of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Services, Rodil Kirk, this morning as he brings our weekly crime update. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Good morning, Adana, and good morning, Tobago. Once again, a brand new week. The brand new start of the school term.
That's right. And of course, it's always a pleasure having conversations with you, Superintendent, as you bring the information to us. And you have the conversation so easy for us to follow and to get the information that we need. So we want to talk about crime updates. What has happened in Tobago in the past week, over the weekend? Is there anything that we should be aware of? Have there been any arrests for any pending crimes or anything like that happening in Tobago?
Yes. Good morning again. What we have seen over the past week, Tobago has been fairly quiet, save and except for at least we have 2 incidents where persons were robbed at gunpoint. And again, I want to ask people again to make themselves hard targets. One of the incident persons were liming at a popular play park when they were approached by gunmen who robbed them of certain valuables. Again, another one as early as this morning around 2 at a popular bar. Persons were liming again and they were approached by men armed with gun. We want to urge people, heighten your awareness when you're out. I know that, we don't want to alarm people a bit not to enjoy themselves, but whilst you do that, you have to look out. You have to be on that lookout. Because persons, the criminals are such that they look for easy opportunities. So you have to make yourself a hard target whilst you're out and be vigilant. The nice thing about the weekend is that you will see the police were out in a number of anti-crime initiatives. As usual, we have those persons on these chats would have been warning one another where the police were, etc. And I want to commend the police officers for their keen powers of observations whilst they were out. We were able to at least take a firearm off the street. So a firearm was recovered. And, I want to commend the officers from the emergency response patrols who would have used their keen powers of observation to detect that crime. And the perpetrator, a 22-year-old, is now in custody as it related to that find. So again, I want to commend my officers publicly.
And I too commend them. And the funny thing is we keep telling persons, try to be a hard target. And I understand that we have to advise people and give them recommendations and, little tips and steps as to how to protect themselves. But the conversation, I find the conversation needs to be, people, let us live in a peaceable society. There are people out there who are hell-bent on trying to be mischievous, always making mischief. And so now the law-abiding citizen has to make the extra effort to protect themselves, which is sometimes very strenuous because, as you mentioned, you want to enjoy yourself. You want to go out and not have to think, oh my goodness, I'll be robbed today. Somebody might take my watch or my earrings or something from me today, snatch my purse or my wallet. Yeah. And it's very sad that we have to have that conversation where you have to always be on guard because you just never know.
And I want to give you an example. I had a colleague who was walking through Port of Spain last Wednesday, and a guy just looked at him and because he had a gold chain wearing, and the guy asked him, "You want me to rob you or what?" And I'm just saying how people, and really and truly, he was being followed by that person, We just happened to come around the corner at the same time to pick him up in a motor vehicle, and the guy was actually crossed the road and actually waiting. So I'm saying again, you know, in a circumstance like that, I mean, he know his exit plan, but at the same time, people have to be mindful as to the environment, the surroundings, and you have to be, notwithstanding that Tobago is a, you know, calm, clean, green and serene, we have to be aware. And it's just we want persons to change their mindset when you're traversing in the public space.
That's right, that's right. So, you know, it's back to school today. So
Yes.
we have increased motorists on the roadways, and we have increased pedestrians as well. So what have we put in place to manage this, or how can we advise people to be safe when using the nation's roads?
Right, we recognize that the roads will be again filled with the normal traffic. And again, with the school term reopening, I know children of tender age will be going to school. Again, we have seen in the recent past where a young person was, you know, involved in an accident. We are asking parents to take that extra care. When you are taking your children, make sure that you make that provision to take your children to and from school. We don't want to see these young 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds traversing the busy streets by themselves. Right? We are asking parents to look out. We are asking also the motorists to take proper care whilst they're traversing the school areas. I mean, we will have our officers out on patrol to make sure that, you know, they can regulate the traffic where it would be congested. And we know on the schools in Collar Hall, we know the areas that the school RC as well. So our officers will be on the roadway, but still we are asking motorists to cooperate with us, make sure, because the children will be on the roadway, and we expect, you know, that congestion. But at the same time, you do your part, and we are asking parents to also do their part in terms of protecting the children when they go to and from school.
I know, and especially when it's school drop-off and pick-up, sometimes you see the parents, they just look for a spot where they could pull up and rest their car there to get the children. So, you know, we just want you to be a little bit, you know, cautious about that, and also think about the other pedestrians, the other drivers and pedestrians as well in the school areas.
And yes, and we know this is the first week and things may not operate as usual. Again, we know that some students or pupils may not go out to school as well. So again, parents, I've always come here and I've talked about it. Make sure you have that person to care for your child while you are away at work today, if your child would not be going to school as well. You know, we also ask parents, as we go forward to a new school term, we know the issue of violence in school. We are asking that you make that extra effort to reach out to advise your child, especially those who are in their teenage. We recognize that even after school, the children will gather in these small areas and so on, and, you know, have nothing to do. Find some kind of thing to enroll your child in, whether it be a sports club or some kind of club, so that will take up that extra time, you know, to prevent them from, you know, wandering around Scarborough. This is something that this term we are going to look at it, and we are going to treat with it where we see. We are also going to partner with the schools, and, you know, and have our officers go in from time to time and have that communication with the stakeholders in our schools.
And I totally agree, especially engaging your children after school hours, because I know sometimes I see children just idly on the streets. They might be at play parks, no adult supervision, no parents there, and they're just there. And I wonder, where are the parents when these children are just there by themselves? Where are the adults, the supervision for these children?
And that is the thing that, you know, we are wondering as well. So this is why we need to take that proactive measure, and we'll ask our parents, our teachers, our stakeholders within our community to get involved, get on board. When you see what is happening, reach out to us, and we will deal with it from our level. But we want everybody going forward, all persons to be on board in terms of our nation school children. We don't want it to escalate into a situation what we are seeing in other parts of the world. So, you know, we want to take that you know, proactive step to ensure that we have a wonderful, safe school term, no violence, and we want to do our part as the police to ensure that we communicate and we pass that information on as to what we would like to see going forward.
All right, yes, and I totally agree. We want to ensure that our children are safe. We want to ensure that we have a smooth reopening of school today, safety on the nation's roads. We want to ensure, that we have the cooperation from the general public. And when the police are out there doing their duties, let us cooperate with them and let us, be trying to create a safe space for all of us, a safe space for us to use and for us to enjoy for ourselves and for our children. Superintendent, in closing, is there anything you want to share with our public?
No, again, I just want to continue to, as I always reach out to our Tobago public, the police will be out on the streets doing what we do to make this place a safe space. So we want you to cooperate with us. At times you may be a bit inconvenienced, but it's all for the greater good. Again, I want to thank the Tobago public for their continued support for the TTPS. And we look forward to Tuesday afternoon. We will be hosting a town meeting in the Crown Point Station District. We are asking residents of the Canaan, Bonaccord and environs to participate, come and meet with us so that we can treat with your issues. You will have that opportunity to raise your issues, and we will do our best in order to ensure that greater delivery of service to our communities.
That's right. All right. Thank you very much, Superintendent Rodel Kirk, for bringing that information to us as it relates to our crime updates here in Tobago and the approach for safety as we reopen school for this term. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have that interesting and burning conversation coming up right after the break. But of course, we have to go for that very short break, and we want you to stay with us. Of course, I know many of you are waiting to hear the discussions that will take place there, and we will have that right after we come back. But before we go, we have to invite you to share the live. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Tobagonians, you may know me as Blaze. Through my TV and radio shows, you've invited me into your lives. Now, the media's freedom to speak out on behalf of citizens, to reveal the facts fearlessly, is enshrined in our Constitution. It means we can openly demand accountability for the performance of public officers and authorities. Should your Constitution demand more too? Submit your views to constitutionalreform2024.gov.tt by the 15th of April. It's your future, it's your Constitution, and it's your voice.
Hello everyone, it's your boy Harry here from Authentic Car Clinic, located right here in Tobago at Storby Local Road. You can WhatsApp us or call us at 366-4173.
No place like home, home, home.
Oh, I love Tobago, baby.
When we outside, it's an ocean of love. All that we align to the stars up above. Let we dance now, take a chance now with me. And we go jump till morning. Look, the moon don't sleeping. Tell them we not leaving till the last drop of a canal is madness in the capital. So I feel like I run in tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. Wave with all my friends and them. No place like home, home, home. We go jump till the moon come down. It's we who the stars shine on. Play a mass and break away. Freedom in with DNA.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
Viewers, welcome back to Tobago Updates Television. This is Take 2. Yes, thank you so much for staying tuned with us here on Tobago Updates Television. Monday, 8th April. It's back to school. Oh gosh, traffic. Yes, this morning, of course, we are very pleased to have a special guest with us this morning. I know you guys are accustomed to having me on a Friday talking sports, but this morning we felt it necessary to have a conversation with Managing Director and Head Coach of Jarick Titans Sports and Development Club. Of course, we had Brian before you guys departed to Manchester talking about all the lovely stuff that you guys would have done or would be doing when you get to Manchester. Talk about the plans that you guys would have had. But of course, Brian, I want to thank you firstly for accepting this interview. I'm sure that you would have been elongated with calls. Of course, some say clear the air about the situation with the Manchester Cup. But there's a situation in the public domain right now in terms of the 11-year-old that would have actually remained in the UK. And I want to start off on that front. Can you let's give us an update on that one?
All right. Firstly, good morning. Good morning to all viewers. Good morning, Marcus. All right. It's very good that you would have me here. All right. I thank you for the opportunity. All right. Yes, a young man, unfortunately, had to be kept back in the UK at the very last moment. All right. Because of some passport issues, his passport went missing just as we were about to enter the aircraft, just as we were about to enter the plane. All right. I know, of course, the people would start to bounce around irresponsibility and stuff like that. But it was not the case. All right, let me say that, because all through the trip, the boys were absolutely well taken care of, and these things were looked after. It was, should I say, mandatory that each child come through every checkpoint with their passport. All right, and that passport was handed to him, you know, and taken after every checkpoint. So just before we entered the plane, it was given to him as well. All right, boys being boys, I think they went off to buy some sweets or something like that. All right, he and an older boy. I mean, the media would have it to say he's a 9-year-old, a 9-year-old have his passport. All right, but
what age?
A 15-year-old boy.
15-year-old boy.
Yeah. Went with him. Yeah, of course, you know the concessions and the little booths is not too far from those check-in areas, from those boarding areas. So maybe about 20 meters away. And on returning, everybody's going on to the airplane, and time for him to board. No passport. And we couldn't find the passport. We couldn't find it. We searched everyone that was there. Of course, the lot of the group had already boarded. And we checked everybody. We sent messages on board for people to check their bags, check their on their person and stuff like that. In the meantime, because we were stalling, the air hostess now, you know, started hassle people to settle down and stuff like that. So that kind of handled the whole process of a thorough search. All right. And lo and behold, when we got back to Tobago, you know, the said boy that he went to the shop with had the passport. It was in his back pocket. You know, so it was an unfortunate situation. We have since gotten a travel document for him, and he would be flying home tomorrow. All right, all he's comfortable. We have looked after we have to buy a fresh ticket. Right. Our manager, Tracy Caldera.
So it wasn't a case that you could have changed the ticket?
No, we had to purchase another ticket.
Another ticket.
Yeah, because check-in had already taken place and stuff like that. So that it's like they count that ticket used.
Right.
You know. So we bought the ticket for him and the manager, and you know, he's going to be back home tomorrow. The passport is with his mom. Right. We took it to her. All right, so you'd have it to use when he gets back. I think he's comfortable. You know, they're traveling around. I think they went to Buckingham Palace. You know, so
he had an extra few days to have a good time.
Yeah. We have a lady has been like a guardian angel for us over there, Arlene Alexander Price. She's the one that did some work for us on the ground over there, and she came across and helped made the whole thing easy and showed them around and stuff like that. So he's in good hands. He's in good hands. Yeah, no worries. No worries at all.
That's really good to hear. I mean, Brian, I mean, Tobagonians would know you as somebody that would have actually been in charge of children and taking groups to Trinidad and probably around the region.
Yes.
And for sporting reasons, right?
Yes.
Or purposes in that sense.
Yeah.
For those who don't have an idea of who is Brian Bong and Jarick Titans, before we really get into the meat of the matter, can you just give a background of yourself and Jarick Titans Sports and Development Club?
Well, I'm a regular guy, you know. Father, husband, son, brother, professed Christian, all right? Believing, living Christian. I do not just profess it with my mouth. I try my best to profess it with the way I live, with the way I conduct myself, all right? Businessman, sportsman. Well, former sportsman. I know you still trying out, but former sportsman. Yeah, but Jarick Titans. Yes, I am the one that formed it. Out of, I would be eternally grateful to Anglican Primary School. All right. From that school is where the club was formed. All right. We started with a couple boys, maybe 10 or 11 boys, and we have grown, you know, so much over the years. All right. We have always intended not just to play cricket and football, but to affect change. You know, to affect change in the lives of young people. All right. The truth is, Marcus, not everybody, hardly anybody, should I say, would end up being a professional footballer based on records, based on history. How many professional footballers do we have coming out of Tobago? Not many. All right. We want to try and change that, but we also want to try and change people's life, because we have also seen that a massive percent of guys that play football and cricket at an early age, by the time they get late teens and early 20s, they're no longer playing, they're going off on something else. You know, so that is also a major part of what we what we aspire to do. All right. Exposing these boys. You rightfully said we have been around the region, Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia. You know, yeah, we have been around the region a couple times. We have been to Trinidad several times and stuff like that. And it's all to show these boys and these girls that there's more to life than what you think, than what you see. You know, you could aspire to be something more than what your community might be showing. You know, what the Tobago space might be showing in itself. So you can aspire to greater than that.
And Brian, outside of the region and Trinidad, this was the first international trip that you guys would have undertaken?
No.
So you'd have done it before?
Yes, we would have done it before. In 2019, we partnered with Sir Gibbs and Janelle and Mr. Boswain and those guys from Eagles, and we went to Germany. All right, and that was a good trip. Good trip. Royal Shepherd, who is there, you know, he was very integral in getting the boys to come up there. Of course, it was not such a big group, but they went and they had a grand time as well. You know, opened their eyes. I looked at that young team that we have playing in the competition in Trinidad. I just got a glimpse at the game yesterday, or the warm-up really. Somebody sent it in a chat and some of the guys were coming out. And I saw quite a number of boys that went on that Germany trip playing on that Tobago senior team. You know, so, you know, I mean, sometimes you plant and you don't expect to bear fruit the next day. You know, it takes time. You know, so I'm happy to know that some of the boys, you know, Zion and those guys are coming through and doing well.
Well, I mean, the entire country, and I think those living abroad, was very shocked. You know that person on social media. To see you on that day that you guys would have departed. In fact, when you guys arrived in England, to see you, your good self, in a video, asking for support via GoFundMe for accommodation. As I mentioned before, we had you here before you departed, and we spoke about the plans coming along. You mentioned a budget of what, 3 million, I think, or just close to 3 million. And you know,
over 2 million.
And an impression, of course, myself and obviously the public would have actually gotten from that that interview we did, and everything, you know, was in place for the trip. Tell me about that video that you made. You mentioned that plans and commitments were made and they weren't honored. Let us get into that discussion. You got a course there and you asked for accommodation. So you left Tobago. Obviously, you had the flights purchased. And tell me about the accommodation part of things there.
All right. Marcus, you have traveled.
Yes.
Right? You played cricket in England. One of the big things, or one of the main things to getting into England, to setting foot outside of that airport, is presenting some address.
Yes, you have to, because you can't get through immigration.
You have to present them with some
where you're going to stay.
Where you're going to stay.
Yes.
Right? So, immediately, you know that we had some place to stay.
Okay. And that was a Hilton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's supposed to be Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn.
Yes. All right, but we will get to that. All right. So we had some place to stay. The plea that was made was for assistance to pay to help cover the cost of that, not to find the accommodation.
Right. So
it's not. So contrary to what some of the media houses are purporting and publishing, we were not on the street. We were not out in the cold.
Right.
That was never the case.
So some payment.
Yes.
Right. You made payment before you arrived in England.
Yes.
That was basically to hold the accommodation.
Pretty much.
But then you had to pay an amount.
Yes.
To confirm the amount of days you're going to stay there for.
Right. Well, we know the amount of days. We know the amount of days. Right. But it's just a question of honoring our part of the commitment, because the organizers, which is Eurosport, they are the ones that doing all the transactions for us. So we were not in direct contact with the hotel per se, but we understand that the greatest bill, the biggest bill that we have would be accommodation. Hence the reason why we use accommodation up front, because that is going to take the most money.
So accommodation would of course like around what?
Maybe about, I can't break down the accommodation, but per person, it may have cost about £1,200 for the 9 days.
And the equation is...
And that would be accommodation, transportation, food, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So but you mentioned before you left, you paid a figure.
Yeah.
Right? And you had outstanding how much you had to pay Eurosport?
Eurosport.
How much outstanding you had to pay Eurosport? That would not have caused you to do a live asking for
repeat that.
Right. You paid a fee, right?
Yeah.
To book the hotel.
Right.
As, Holiday Inn, right?
Yes.
And then when you got to England, you realized that you were still short of how much?
Somewhere in the vicinity of $80,000 to $100,000.
$80,000 to $100,000.
Yes.
That's TT?
Pounds.
That's pounds. So
yes.
But is the $10 is $9. So okay, so in the vicinity of about $800,000, right?
Right.
And that's the commitment and the plans you spoke about.
Yes.
That someone made a commitment to pay that figure and that didn't come true.
Yes.
And then you realize that in shit streak.
Well, in non-certain terms, yeah.
In non-certain terms. So it wasn't a case that you left here not knowing that where you're gonna stay,
no,
and in a case that some form of money is won't pay to the
never the case, Marcus. Because at this point, more than $1.5 million would have been invested, right? That is from fundraising, contributions from individuals, and stuff like that. So we were very much deep in it, right? We were fully committed. Teams were, should I say, well prepared. All right. I continue to give shout out to the coaches that were working 4 days a week, 5 days a week to get the teams prepared. All right. Let me stop and sincerely apologize to Brother Rise and his team, because he was one of the coaches that was preparing the U11 boys to go forward, U14 boys to go forward to the tournament. And, unfortunately, different things occurred and they didn't make the trip. Liston and his wife, they were working tirelessly. And unfortunately, they didn't make it as well. They were in charge of the U11. So we had to make some adjustment with the coaches while we were up there. But yeah, I sincerely apologize. And to anybody else that would have, were looking and expecting to go and didn't make the trip. We genuinely apologize.
Was there any moment at all, Brad, even before you left here, that you guys were considering to postpone, cancel this trip?
Yes, Marcus, yes. The thought, the conversation, it came up.
And it came about because the commitments that you guys would have been given, it just wasn't forthcoming at the time, or it wasn't looking positive?
Even before that, right? Before that, because even before that commitment was made, we, of course, we looking at the figures, looking at what we have to pay and stuff like that, and we are thinking, we might be a long way short. We gave it a good, solid effort. We raised funds, we asked for contributions and stuff like that, but we still are fair way short. All right. Yes, we covered probably about 60% of it, but we're still a long way out. All right. Then, we went and we started asking around and stuff like that, and all right. So we got assurance that this is all right. We're gonna cover the rest. That is fine. Right. You could go ahead and you could go on your trip.
Right. So that's the commitment you're talking about.
On that, yes.
And you don't want to call.
No, definitely
You don't
not.
want to mention
No.
who would have given that commitment?
Definitely not.
Right. So who are some of the persons that you guys would have approached for support for the trip? Persons or establishments who would have approached for the trip?
Of course, Jarick Titans Safety. That is the name that we carry. All right. They made a contribution. Even let me go to the major contributors. Outside of Jarick.
Right.
Double B Enterprise. They have stood by the club from inception. You know. All right. Dominion Appliances came in even after the GoFundMe, after that video. And he's always supportive. He's always, Mr. Vern Joseph, he's always encouraging. All right. And, you know, and he's one of those people that would always put his money where his mouth is. You know. All right. Patricia's Bakery, which is, of course, an affiliate to Jet Muddy or Double B's. That's my sister. All right. And they were the ones that probably contributed the most.
Right.
But we cannot discredit those people that given their $500 and from all the way from England, Londis, and the guys from VNS and from the USA, you know, and so much was given outside of GoFundMe,
right?
You know, because some people don't understand how to use it and stuff like that.
So is it safe to say on record that in terms of support, you got none from, say, the government or none from the THE, and the support that you got in terms of AFA, you got that from fundraisers and from private sector?
Very safe to say that.
Right, and then, but you would have applied to the different arms of the state?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian, some would have asked why such a elaborate stay, Hilton or Holiday Inn? Why not probably a bed and breakfast?
Now we want to live with best life. not Marcus. Now, but those things are not has nothing to do with us. Eurosport, who are the organizers of the tournament, they are the ones that were making all of our arrangements. They are the ones that booked
the same for the other teams that participated in the event?
For most of the other teams. We were in the hotel with other teams.
Okay.
So people have it to say other teams staying wherever.
Yeah.
That might be true, but there were other teams that were in the same hotels with us.
Okay.
We had the same arrangement. Staying in the same place, traveling on similar, well, not on the same bus, but had the same travel arrangements, where this coach would come and take up the entire team and stuff like that. Yeah. But they were the ones that making the arrangement from that side.
Okay, and how would you respond to also persons are saying that the tournament 2 days, two days,
yes,
but you guys stayed for 10 days?
All right, well, it's 9.
9 days.
Right. And you eliminate 2 for traveling.
Right.
When you get there, you travel from Ting to Manchester, and then when you have to leave, you have to travel from Manchester back to London. So that is 2 days. So we're down to 7 days. One you want 2 or 3 days before to acclimatize, right? So we got there Saturday and Sunday. You play the tournament, and Monday the boys had a break. Tuesday we went to Frodsham Junior Football Academy.
What's that?
Frodsham Junior Football Academy. They are connected to Everton Football Club. And wow, Marcus, they are the leading junior academy in England. Not in Lancashire, not in Manchester, in the whole of England. Right? And the facility is really nice. Really, really nice. You know, and they hosted us for a day. We played some games, we interacted with them. They are super excited to get to Tobago next year. So just as I said here on the interview before I left, to make some connections, nail down some commitments, and they are eager to get here. Not just with boys, because they're saying that they want to bring girls. So we don't have a girls team at Titans, but like I always said, this is bigger than Titans. This is bigger than us. So girls teams on the islands would get a chance to play, you know. But nothing confirmed as yet. It's just in the conversation stage, you know. So we're hoping that would work out. We have also had a chance to interact with guys from Scotland, from in the Middle East, from Marcus. It's amazing, man. It's amazing. So we also went to after the tournament, we had a chance to go to Man City. All right. If Frodsham is good, Man City is about 10 times that, because you're going in a place where you have about 20 football fields.
Wait, so you bypassed Manchester United and went to Man City?
Right. we did visit the Manchester facility, you know.
Right.
We had that was one of the off-field trips, you know. Guys went there, they took pictures, they went to the mega store, they got memorabilia, they buy the jerseys and stuff like that. So that is one of the main things. And having been there, it really confirms that Manchester United is the greatest club in England, regardless of the way they stand on the table.
Round of applause, please. Round of applause, please.
It's not my team. It's not my team, really. But the other jacket, you know. And to see the amount of people and the hype and the buzz around them, little children playing football outside and people just, you know, it's like a free, it's like, you know, it's attracting people from all over.
And I don't know, but I must come back to this, Brian.
Yeah.
I mean, because, just hearing you speak about outside of the footballing part of things, these youngsters will have enjoyed visiting Man City, visiting Manchester United, and they're going to remember for years to come.
Yes.
I mean, and are you surprised, or are you disappointed that even the ministry or the Tobago Assembly didn't come on board in supporting such a trip?
All right. I have been contacted by the Tobago Assembly. I actually have a meeting this morning with the chief ad. All right. So to say that they have not come on board, I can't say that.
Right.
All right, because they have reached out, and we're going to try and iron out whatever balances we have left.
Right.
You know, we're going to try and iron that out.
Yeah.
So, you know, confirmation with that would be forthcoming.
But you also approached the THE for support for the budget. You had a budget of $3 million, and you mentioned that you would have sent to different arms.
Yes.
Right. But I know you don't want to publicly say who would have given promises, right? But can you say who we would have approached?
No, I can't say.
You can't say who you approached?
No, I will not say.
Oh, you will not say. You choose not to say.
I choose not to say.
Or you're going to say sometime down the road.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
And what's the outstanding figure now? If you can.
No, I'm not going to disclose that as well.
Okay.
All right, because I want to have that conversation with the admin before that is in the public space.
But how is that looking? Is that looking positive?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I think it is. I think it's definitely looking positive.
Right.
You know, it's just a question of settling on the figure, whatever the figure is, because we have to get an invoice from Eurosport.
Okay.
And when that comes, so once again, I cannot give you a definite. I would just be guesstimating kind of way.
Okay.
So once we get that invoice, once we get the total figure, I will chat with admin. Hopefully that invoice is here already.
Right.
And we chat with admin this morning, and then we take it from there. So the public would know.
Okay. And that's to take care of only accommodation.
That would take the accommodation is not just the accommodation. It comes with a package from Eurosport.
Okay. Okay.
Ground transport, meals, accommodation. That is what they're taking care of, and some one or two little incidental tours. You know.
Yeah.
Frills as they call it.
Okay. All right, Brian, what we'll do, we'll take a short break, right?
Yes.
And we'll come back, we'll talk more about, the results of the tour.
Yes.
Some of the positive down the road as well.
Yes.
So viewers, we're going to take a short break. We'll come back, and of course, we're chatting with Coach Brian Brown out of Jarick Titans Sports and Development Club, talking about the Manchester trip. So we're going to take a short break. Guys, don't forget to share the live.
Life is good with Zero. Zero interest for 6 months. Zero down payments. Zero stress payment plan. That's right. With Standards My Terms, we are putting the power of zero in your hands. Now, you can get that new sectional, fridge, stove, or TV for zero down. Pay zero interest later and enjoy a zero stress payment plan plus quick approval within 48 hours. Standards. Never beaten on quality and prices.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Hi guys, welcome back to this beautiful Monday morning here in Trinidad and Tobago. We're chatting with Jarick Titans, Managing Director of Jarick Titans Sports and Development Club, Mr. Brian Brown. And Brian, of course, just to continue the conversation, I want to talk about the contingent that you guys would have actually taken a course. Actually, who actually made a trip? How many persons made a trip? And how many persons you had planned to carry in the first instance?
All right, so you could go back on the interview that we had before.
Yes.
And you would hear me say that we had maybe about 80.
About 80
odd, right? And
This is inclusive of players and
players, staff,
okay,
some parents, stuff like that.
This is Jarick Titans solely.
No.
This was inclusive with the other.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. And then the interest started to build, and people were coming on. Eventually, we only had 87 people, right? Maybe about 60 odd active, maybe 50 something active players. 15-ish members of staff, and then some parents. All right, you're taking you 9 boys, you 10 boys. You know that some parents will want to come along. That is a given. All right, so that amount.
So the sponsorship that you guys were asking for, that would have covered adults as well too.
Yes, of course, they are part of the traveling body.
Because there's a report that Freehold actually made a trip. And some people are saying that what is a 3-year-old doing on a trip such as that because he can't participate? Can you confirm there was a 3-year-old there?
Well, there was a 2-year-old, or a 1-year-old.
Right.
All right. And of course he can't participate, but he have parents or he have guardians.
So and obviously the sponsorship covered the parents as well.
Some of the parents, yes.
Some of the parents. So some of the parents paid for themselves.
Some of the parents paid.
But some of the funds went to other parents.
Yes, of course.
The airfare, accommodation, and
yes,
okay.
yes. Not the sponsorship.
Not the sponsorship.
Airfare. Everybody the club dealt with it.
Right.
Right. The general sponsorship was to deal with Eurosport.
Okay.
And the accommodation, the ground transport, we didn't get that. Airfare is out of the question. That was taken care of in full.
Okay.
The club sorted that out. Right. So any funds that we were soliciting was towards given to Eurosport for accommodation, airfare, accommodation, food, and ground transport.
Right.
Yeah. Adults, the whole body, that is what we were catering to.
Right. So eventually, how many persons made the trip?
87.
87?
Yeah.
Okay, and the 87 persons that made the trip, they paid for their airfare?
Yes.
From the club?
Yes.
The club paid for their airfare?
Yeah.
And then Eurosports would have taken care of the accommodation?
Yes.
And the sponsorship that you guys were seeking would have taken care of all the parents?
Everybody.
No parent would have
Everybody.
Okay, no parent would have paid for themselves?
Not for accommodation.
Not for accommodation?
Well, yes, for accommodation, because they have a group that came up after.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Because as I said, it's all about clearness, right? Because they are saying that the parents who attended or who were on the trip, I mean, why is it that public service, the public taxpayers
have to
pay for parents on a trip, a youth development trip?
Yeah.
If you tell me you're paying for 87 children.
Marcus, there are safety laws and safety guidelines that must be carried out.
Right, let me go through that.
So, you're carrying 60, 70 children, you can't carry 2 adults.
Right.
There is a pair, adult to child ratio. So even if we don't want to carry them, some of them have to go because we have 60 something children or whatever the number is, and we have 20 something parents. That is 3 to 1.
Yeah. So the club and
so they have to. So it's not like parents up, they just lying down with sunglasses. People were actively involved. And we had to sometimes assign child to parent, child to parent, child to parent. So Kerry and they had his child on the next one. This one had their child on the next one. This one had their child on the next one. No adult that was there without a child.
Yes.
You understand? Or without a responsibility to a child or to children.
And the club felt it necessary.
It is absolutely necessary.
Okay.
It is absolutely necessary, Marcus.
Tell me about the arrangement with the other clubs that you guys invited to join you to the Manchester trip. How many other clubs joined, and what were their contingent like?
All right, so we started off with TPDP, which is Wendell Moore and Lex Sunday. All right, that is where it started. Then Brother Rice got on board just around the same time. And while I cannot confirm the exact contingent or the party that joined, I know that it was a worthwhile, union.
So they requested to join the trip, or you guys extended an invitation?
Yeah, I think we extended the invitation.
Okay.
Right, but it was something that worked extremely well for the group that was there. I know because of the not being able to travel situation, some feelings were hurt, some words were said, and stuff like that. And it happens when you're hurt. Right?
So Brian, the sponsorship that you guys were seeking, would it have covered all the clubs as well, or this was just for Jarick Titans?
No, this would have covered all the boys, regardless of the club they come from.
Okay.
Accommodation for all the players that travel in to play, it would have accommodated those.
And those same clubs were also seeking sponsorship as well?
But not for accommodation.
Oh, so what were they looking for sponsorship for?
I can't say. They would have to answer that. But I know that we were seeking for assistance for Eurosport, which would be accommodation, ground transport, and food.
So, because it is in the public domain, only members of the other teams that you invited that would have remained in Tobago.
No, that is not true.
Okay, so
that's not true.
Let's clear up this whole thing, right?
Our president and her family didn't go.
Right.
Susanna McLeod Thomas.
And what was the reason for that?
Well, it's ethical.
Right.
If she's the captain of the ship,
right,
and other people can't go, she thought it fit that she shouldn't go.
Okay, so
I could call 10 people from directly out of Jarick Titans. There's a lady that comes from Charlottesville every Saturday morning with her child, with 2 children to train by us. They didn't make the trip.
So the clubs, they have, well, I'm guessing here now that every single parent that would have made a trip, right? You had to make a commitment.
Yes.
You had to pay down something.
Yes.
How much you had to pay?
$10,000.
You had to pay $10,000, and that would have assisted with accommodation.
Well, $10,400.
$10,400.
Yeah.
Every single parent.
Every single parent. Yeah.
Right. You had to pay that, and that was paid.
Yes.
So those that didn't make it, what's happening there?
They would be refunded
from the club.
Yes.
Okay.
Some of which have already been refunded. You know, but it's only a couple of days we have been back. It's just for us to settle, you know, and look at the books, look at who we have to give, and start to disseminate the funds that we have. Give people back their money.
Yeah.
We're not gonna make bones about that.
And Brian, I mean, in hindsight, right? Looking back at the situation, where you think, I mean, the club or this whole trip would have gone. At what stage you felt that, hey, this ain't making sense, right? We're under pressure here. You mentioned that you guys thought about cancelling, right? And that was because you still we were looking for that accommodation, and that was like what? But the day that you had to travel, a week before, 2 weeks before.
Yeah, the conversation came up a couple of times. All right,
like
but
how close to the travel? How close to the traveling date?
Up to a couple of days before.
Right.
You know, it was a thought. You know, but
and this is from the management of the Jarick Titans.
Yeah, from different. I don't think I have heard any wavering from the group itself, because for the most part, we have kept them out of the managerial side of it, right?
Yes.
Especially the boys. You know, unless somebody outside of the group feeding them information, for the most part, we have kept those things within a certain group. So we knew the situation, the severity of the situation, but Marcus, I can't help but talk about the faith and the trust and the belief that we have in God, you know, and we always believe that something is going to work out. Marcus, the hassle, and yes, I've heard people talk about being irresponsible, and if that is the case, well, yes, we have some things to look at. We have to do some introspection. I would not sit here and say that we have done everything right as an executive or as a club, and our motto says excellence on every level, and I don't think we have been excellent at all times in our planning and stuff like that, and we have to do some work there, right? But is it worth the hassle to get these boys an opportunity like this? 1,000 times yes.
And then the questions are also asked about why the Manchester Cup.
Yeah.
You know,
we received an invitation from them.
From Manchester.
Yeah, we received an invitation from them a year ago, and we accepted the invitation. We sat on it. Is it worthy? Is it worthwhile? Should we do it? Can we raise? And it was unanimously said, let us give it a go.
Yeah, and let's get to some of the results up there, because obviously, you know, you just want to talk about all
the negative
stuff.
Yeah,
Tell me about some of the results that you guys would have had.
All right.
And I'm sure, go ahead.
Some of the boys, Marcus, talk to the 60 boys that were on that trip, and I guarantee you'll get the same answer. They had a blast. They had a wonderful time on and off the field, right? We did not win every game. We won some games, you're going to a place where you're meeting high quality football, and even though it's not the competition that we played in is not the top youngsters in the country, because those that are assigned to major clubs cannot participate in that competition, right? So it's more grassroots to just above grassroots you're playing against. But you're seeing some amazing talent, right? And the U11s got to the semi-finals. U14s, I think, missed out on goal difference to make it to the finals or the semis. U16s, that is the TDPD boys, they, I think, missed out on goal difference as well. U9s played and came third and fourth because they played 2 tournaments. In all, on this tour, we played more than 30 games. 30 games put together. So it's not like we're up there on a joyride or just living a holiday. In a 7-day period, collective way, we played 30 games. U9s play about 9, U11s played about 9, U14s about 7, and then the bigger boys played. So you know, it was an action pack.
Do you regret? I mean, and regret maybe too strong of a word in that. Had Jarick Titans done this by themselves, you think that, you know, all that would have transpired may not have transpired?
I don't regret.
You don't regret?
I don't regret. Absolutely not. All right. I try not to live by regrets. And like I said, we have some things that we should have done better. I'm not going to cast any blame on anybody because it buck stops with us. And we should have done some things better. We could have communicated better. That is one of the things that came out of our debriefing yesterday. And that is true. Albeit so, but we were trying to manage how we disseminate information because the media was all over us. You know, but there are some things we definitely could have done better. But in terms of partnering with a team or with a club or with persons to go forward, I will do it again. I will.
Well, what's next for Jarick Titans?
Well, we have some local tournaments, but in terms of major stuff, we have already started the conversation. We are going to England next year for cricket. You're on board. You're on board. You want to come and take some fire, though?
let me get the money now, eh? Let me get the money by tomorrow.
Yeah, of course, I know the media would be all over us.
Let me get the money by tomorrow.
The media would be all over us like that. But in seriousness, in all seriousness, we can't stop. Regardless of what people say, regardless of what people do matters, I firmly believe in people. You know, it have the ones that would preach negative night and day. It have those, no matter what you do, Jesus Christ walked this earth as a perfect man, and he was crucified. And they chose Barabbas.
you think that the brand that Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago knows, right? You know, your reputation and integrity has been tarnished?
A bit, because it's all over media. It's all over the media, and it will affect some people, and that is reality.
And what would you want
It does not handbug me as a person. I would continue to do what I'm doing. You know, I'm not one to take things personally. You know, and I think that has served me well. I cannot run and snap after everything that everybody says every time. So I choose to not take it personally.
It must have been a tough time for yourself and your family.
It is a tough time. You know, but we know the God we serve. We know that God has promised that he's going to turn every negative thing around to something good. And we stand on that.
And what do you want to tell the public now?
All right. I really want to thank the public for those that gave support. I did mention Mr. Vern Joseph and Dominion and all the other people that contributed to us in our difficulties, you know, through GoFundMe and stuff like that. Even the persons that spoke negatively, what it does with those comments is gives us a chance to go back and reflect and correct our errors where we have made mistakes. So everybody, whether good or bad, whether positive or negative, we continue to thank you. All right. I will continue to say that this project, it is way beyond Jarick Titans. It has to be about Tobago and moving Tobago forward, moving Tobago sportsmen forward. However we do it, let's get it done. Because other countries, South Africa was there with a bundle of boys, the Asians were there with a bundle of children, and they are making the investment and making the moves to go to England to expose their children. And we trying to stay here. You know, so let's get on board.
Brian, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. You know, I mean, you're always welcome to Big Updates Television. You know, we always want to highlight persons who are contributing to the development of our youngsters within the whole space, Trinidad and Tobago. And thank you very much for coming here to the media, because I know that a lot of persons would have been reaching out to you to get, you know, information. And I'm hoping that those who would have tuned in this morning, some of the questions that you guys would have been answered this morning. If not, I mean, maybe next time we get Brian here to talk about that Manchester trip to for cricket. You know,
that would be Lancashire.
Lancashire, you know. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in this morning. A sporting Monday. For those who are going back out to school today, have a good time. Be careful on the roads. Yes, I'm going to show you guys over to Tobago Notes. And that will be followed by Candice Jackson with Good Morning Tobago. Thank you so much, Tobago, for tuning in this morning. Short break, Tobago Notes.
This is my first race for the day. I've been around the goat racing since little, so I grew up with an idea. This could be my second to third year of running goat. I felt very good when I come down and I see her in front. Felt very nice.
So long as you are a good racer and you like the thing, you're going to put everything into it. And I call it jockey and say, look, we're going to dominate today. We're going to dominate. You win Friday with Latin Lover. I need you to put down your best foot forward. And so done, you do the work.
I came here with my family and they thought it was a good idea that I come to participate in the event. I train with UE at the St. Augustine campus here. This is my first time here, so it's pretty fun. And while winning my event was the icing on the cakes.
We're spending Easter in Tobago, so we said this is something that they should see. Yeah, I think it is a wonderful thing to do for Tobago, and I like the community spirit and the environment and of course the entrepreneurs down there with the food and the craft, and so I think it's excellent.
Today we have burgers, we have hot dogs, we have chicken and chips. Sales has been going pretty okay thus far. Yeah, it's a nice experience. As you see out here today, we have a lot of niche type businesses, a lot of small or micro businesses on the outside, so a lot of persons get the opportunity to display what they have.
It's been amazing. Watching the goats is wonderful, but also the bonnet competition is quite something.
Yeah, really good fun, really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been crazy. We haven't seen anything like this at home.
It's really great. The races are fun to watch. All the vendors have good food and attractions. Yeah, I like it because we get to see animals that we usually don't get to see normally in Canada or like Tobago. My snake is my favorite animal. I don't know, I just have always really liked snakes. We have little garter snakes in our backyard that I always catch and always used to catch.
This is an event that normally caters to the family, and once we are able to bring families together, once we are able to execute a better social standing in our community, I think we are a success, you know. Sometimes we measure everything by financial success, but there's always the reality of having stronger communities coming out of events like this.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago update.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region, with the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine. I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. The Division of Education, Research and Technology announced the resumption of its school nutrition program at all schools under its purview starting today. Parents of regular recipients should note that the arrangements have been made for their children to receive breakfast and lunch as scheduled for the remainder of the term. New students should inform their teachers of their interest in joining the program, after which a needs assessment will be conducted. Up next, there is no moratorium on the requirement of vehicles to be inspected and to display inspection stickers. Transport Commissioner Clive Clark stated that motorists caught driving with uninspected vehicles could receive a fine of $2,000 and 6 demerit points as stipulated by the Motor Vehicles Road Traffic Act. He urged drivers to visit the testing stations and have their vehicles inspected to ensure they meet the criteria required by law. Driving an uninspected vehicle is considered a fixed penalty offense. And finally, Minister of Public Utilities Marvin Gonzalez indicated that by the month's end, the government will decide on whether to increase the electricity rate. The recommendations from the Regulated Industries Commission are currently under review by a cabinet subcommittee. Gonzalez mentioned that further information had been requested from TNTech and the RIC to aid in the deliberations. However, it is noted that there will be a significant increase in electricity bills if the cabinet adopts the RIC's recommendations entirely, which estimates of a possible 124% increase by 2028. And that was the news in 90 seconds.
News in 90 seconds is brought to you by Standards, never beaten on quality and prices. Life is good with zero. Zero interest for 6 months. Zero down payments. Zero stress payment plan. That's right. With Standards My Terms, we are putting the power of zero in your hands. Now, you can get that new sectional, fridge, stove, or TV for zero down. Pay zero interest later and enjoy a zero stress payment plan plus quick approval within 48 hours. Standards, never beaten on quality and prices.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. Well, viewers, now for the first half of my show this morning, I will be chatting with the political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, and of course that's none other than Mr. Watson Duke, as we discuss some of the things that are happening within the space as well as some of the intentions of the party going forward. Because as you know, right now there's a lot of talk in the air, there's a lot of things happening on the ground politically, where we're seeing various political parties, starting to hit the ground and started to ready to prepare for the general elections in 2025 as well as the THA elections. So a special good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Duke. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Candice. The pleasure is mine to be here. This is like home.
It's great to have you.
Yes.
Now, I want to get started with just speaking about your intentions, the PDP's intentions going forward. Now, of course, you have previously expressed your willingness to go for the general elections and the THA elections again. Tell me about just what are you doing right now? How are you going forth with working the ground, campaigning, getting the party together, getting candidates? What's going on?
Right. Well, the Progressive Democratic Patriots is more than just one person. I'm the political leader and the founder, but we have an executive team still in place, and we have taken on a national interest, not just Tobago's interest, a national interest, because Tobago is part of a larger, picture called Trinidad and Tobago. And in order to make a serious dent in the place where laws are made, we will have to win those 2 seats. Unless we win those 2 seats, Tobago will continue being a lazy boy, just tagging along, not knowing whether it's going to be able to have more persons employed or not. And so those 2 seats are very important for us. I've always said that. I'm interested in going down there to fix things so Tobago could be a better place. And this is a great opportunity. My team has a particular plan in place, that we are working religiously, and come August, you're going to see the biggest political campaign launch I've ever seen in Tobago. Big, big, big. And they will know that the same sun that does set does rise again on time.
What can you tell us about what you are planning for August?
Well, whenever the PDP comes, we are always welcome. And so you could expect us to come good and to come well and to set the trajectory for office, which is heading to the office of, representing Tobago. I want to speak that way. Well, we are not going with any amalgamation as to say with the UNC or the PNM. The PDP continue to hold its own as always. Anyone is free to come and join us and to align themselves with us. We will have no problem with that, but we remain focused on our agenda and our mandate. That is very clear.
And will you be trying to join or partner with anybody else here in Tobago, any political party?
Not really. I think I have had some discussions with Ferry Augustine, and I said to him clearly, now it's time for us to put Tobago first. I say I've allowed you, without even beating you down, to really do your stuff. And very little has been achieved. I say it's time for us to put Tobago first. I say you cannot wait until election day come to recognize you have lost, but you have also murky the water so that no one win. We have to fight and fight to win Tobago first. And I think that he's quite understanding, and I'm looking forward to perhaps see his discussion with his colleagues and a response. But when we speak again, I mean, I'm always open that Tobago could win. Based on his answer, I will know how to progress. But I just want to remind Tobago that in January, when there was 6-6, because Watson Duke, he came up with the idea that we should work a partnership with the PNM, since that is 6-6, and we will allow Tracy Davison or whosoever she wishes to be Chief Secretary to become Chief Secretary, and we would have a deputy and finance. But again, they were very clear about what they felt in their heart, and they said, no, we reject that. And they continue, much to their own demise. All of them who were there, not one of them won a seat. Not one of them who were there won a seat. And so I also place a very similar situation with the Chief Secretary. And I said to him, I said, look, I have no problem working with you. But if we have to, the politics is a different thing. We'll have to work on the politics. But before we can get even to become politically friendly, people must be able to see us working together and to see that I am able to make a difference in the lives of Tobagonians.
And what was your idea of what that working together would look like?
I don't want to say much. We came up with a particular situation. We has under consideration. And I wouldn't say much about that details. Save and except that they're talking about they're open to coalitions on the papers today. And I just felt that I should say that I'm not looking for a coalition with my colleague. Right? I'm just saying to him that we have to work together. If he has an interest in Tobago, he has to work together, because clearly on his own, he's not being successful at any good thing that Tobago demands of him. And I feel that with my advice and my experience, I could still assist, because to me, Tobago is suffering. And when Tobago suffers, all of us are losers. None of us could say we are winner. All right? But I will not try to tear him down and stand up on his head and rubbish him. That's for the opposition to do. I will not do that. That's their job. However, I will try to bring him back to a place where he is his right political mind. Right?
And then, of course, there is a repair of sorts that needs to be done in terms of the trust of the people, because the situation that happened between yourself and Mr. Augustine that was very kind of sort of disappointing for a lot of people in Tobago who were looking forward to seeing you work together for to take the island forward.
I am not certain that you have coined the phrase right. But I will say people are looking for confidence in the brand. And the confidence in the brand can only come about by us working together and achieving the mandate together that was placed upon us. At this late stage, not all of it can be achieved, but some big ticket issues can still be achieved. And I'm willing to work with him to achieve those big ticket issues if he's so like-minded. I'm not about personal things, you know what I mean? So we don't have to be friends. We don't have to be pallywals. Once we are able to understand that this is about Tobago, that's why we were elected, and put Tobago first, and I'm happy. Because that's why I'm in politics, to put Tobago first. I could have stayed there as Deputy Chief Secretary, and I could have fight them every day. And bet you me, they couldn't have moved me, not one of them. They call a no confidence vote, I would have filled Scarborough with people. It would have been a real old mass, fight and bacchanal down in town. But I didn't. I didn't have to show my strength. I simply took the exit. When they showed me the door, I didn't wait. I took the exit. I left. And from then to now, I've maintained soberness. I will comment on certain issues, but I've maintained soberness and I've maintained distance, giving him sufficient time and his team to show what they are capable of. If I'm to grade them on what they are capable of, they are not capable of fulfilling the mandate that was placed upon them. People in Tobago are disappointed in the level of commitment to the ideals they once spoke of. And so I'm saying, let's make an effort. If you all have an interest in political life and an interest in Tobago, let's do better. Because Tobago could have been in a better position now. It's about $7 billion spent. Where we are? Nowhere.
Now, you mentioned that there are some big ticket items that you think that this administration can still achieve. What are those?
One of those issues is self-determination. They are calling it by the wrong name, autonomy. Tobago does not want autonomy. Tobago never wanted autonomy. Even when those spoke of autonomy, they spoke of it because that's as far as they can see. But from day one, Tobago was a self-governing entity. Tobago had its own constitution, which came to an end and became a colonial system in 1876. And later on, they twin the islands Trinidad and Tobago as two colonies. And later on, they then make Tobago, which was a colony equal to Trinidad, subjective to Trinidad, as a ward. We continue to remain a ward. The Constitution Amendment Bill for Tobago self-government in the preamble speaks of Tobago being given the right to self-determination in the preamble. The preamble is the story before the story. But when the real story starts, they begin to enslave us by saying, you can make laws, but not laws for this. You have this, but you can't do that. And that is very much the same position we were in. Should that get into the Constitution, then we become slaves for life. So we have to be very careful what we choose. We do not want autonomy at all. Autonomy simply means some of our rights. We don't want some of our rights. We want all of our rights. Trinidad cannot tell Tobago what to do in Tobago, because certainly Tobago cannot tell Trinidad what to do in Trinidad. It's two separate islands with a separate history that must be united on issues of economy, issues of culture, issues of a social nature. But in so doing, they must allow each island to maintain its differences and appreciate the differences in each other. That's what we want. Do not try to whitewash and paint us out as if we have no history. That's my problem. And self-determination gives us the right that while we are in the relationship of Trinidad and Tobago, if there comes a time where Tobago does not like the way they're being treated, then we can say to Trinidad, look, I'm ready to trigger this self-determination, and whether by a referendum or by a vote of the assembly, and go on our own. That's always our right. As it is right now, we continue to be a ward under new terms. That's what they're doing. Autonomy is placing us back as a ward under new terms with the word ward removed from it. We do not want autonomy. We want self-determination, all our rights as an island, so we can finally develop on our own.
Mm-hmm. And then what about the other things that you mentioned? Because in lieu of us being able to get that self-determination situation sorted out, you know, what are the other things that you think that this administration can do, and then how can you help them achieve it?
Well, one of the more prolific and I would say qualified negotiators in this country, and they simply have no negotiating skills that would bring them anything. I could recall that on my first trip to Florida, they had South Florida Wine and something festival, right? We would have spoken to an air flight operator who wants to bring planes to Trinidad. That is Secretary for Tourism and Culture, and myself, right? We would have gone up with a team. And I, without even having the city of Roxborough in picture form, I sat and I spoke to the man. I said, look, we are designing a cargo port for planes in Roxborough. And when I explained it to him, before I reached out, I got in my email from that man an interest. He said, I'm interested. He said, I'm willing to spend 150,000 US to come down and do some exploration of this idea you have. And if it makes sense, I'm willing to enter into a memorandum of agreement or understanding, and we will build the airport. Cash. Under certain conditions. And I think it was good. When I went to Dubai also too, I have persons who are willing to come back here and develop Tobago. But when there is a fight, nobody invests. Anytime there's political instability, nobody would invest in a country. Whether that instability has been caused by civil society or it's been caused by politicians who are going at each other's throat, or it is been caused by trade unions. Once there's political instability, no one invests his money. A man hard-earned money is not something he plays with. And I try to avoid that by simply, when they showed me the door, I walk, because I didn't want to stand and fight them. It would have made sense. But when I walk as one man equaling 14 persons. I brought something to the table. So I'm saying, let's go back to that. Let's put pride aside, foolishness aside, and let's try and get foreign investors back. Let's try and get the Tobago self-determination on track, because we will not go anywhere. And if they sign on to that, that's slavery. And I'm going to make a lot of noise if anybody wants to accept that autonomy bill for a fistful of dollars. It makes no sense. When we have self-determination, we will determine for ourselves what is our budget. They can't tell us 9%. We will say, if we want $5 billion, then that's what we're going to get. We're going to establish our own economic plan, systems, policies, etc. They can't make it in Trinidad and give it to us. When we have self-determination, Candice, the 2 votes in Tobago will equal the 39 votes in Trinidad. Because unless we agree with a bill to become a law, then that bill doesn't affect us. There'll be respect for Tobago. That's what happens in the European Union. Every single country has to agree. If you don't agree, then those other countries in the European Union cannot force you to accept that. You must agree to that law for that law to become rooted in your country. I'm saying the time has come for Tobago's vote to mean something to Tobagonians. And unless we agree with a vote in Trinidad, it is not a Trinidad and Tobago bill, it's a Trinidad bill.
Now, in that meeting that you had with Chief Secretary Fally Augustine, was this matter discussed? Because we...
Self-determination?
Yes.
Of course.
And what was the response?
Well, I'm not able to say all of that because, I mean, but we'll just say we discussed that. It was a very broad meeting, a very comfortable meeting. We don't speak very often, and I try not to engage him too often. But when I think it's necessary, I would engage him. All right? And I would say, when I ask for a meeting, we normally have a meeting. And it was just a one-on-one meeting, a very simple meeting, and very casual and cool. No tension.
But how much does your view on self-determination differ from the Chief Secretary's view? Because we saw over the last few months the conversation about taking autonomy forward, taking that whole, the idea of Tobago having what it needs to be able to govern itself. And, the documents that were sent down to Parliament, all of these things.
Well, I'll tell you this, right? I don't mean to tweet my own horn, but I've never heard anybody in Tobago space spoke of self-determination the way I speak of self-determination. Mm-hmm. People speak of autonomy. They want more rights. They want sea rights. They want this rights. We are saying we don't want all of that. What we want is our right to self-determination. What that means, Tobago will at all material times, all time, from the time the bill is passed, right? We will at all times have that right, whether by way of referendum or a majority vote in the assembly, to leave Trinidad and say, look, what you're doing is not what we want. We want this, and pursue our own course according to the people on Tobago. As it is right now, we cannot leave Trinidad. We continue to be a ward dressed up with a little 7%, dressed up with a little bit more miles in the sea. We do not want more clothes. What we want is a new relationship agreement that says, I could divorce you, I could leave you if I want to leave. And unless we have that right, and the right to form our own government among our own self within our own assembly, then we would be fighting a battle that will hurt a lot of people in years to come. And we have to not see the fruits now, but to see the continuation of good fruits.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to just also ask you about just some of the things that are happening on the ground here in Tobago, and especially that of the Friendship Connector Road that continues to face blocks, injunctions by the court, and so on. Do you have any insights as to what's been happening there, and even how that situation should be handled?
I would want to say the Friendship Connector Road, as all roads in Tobago are important roads. All roads are important roads. But there is always something called priority. Priority is based on a list of important things, your list of to-do things. Yes, you want to do all, but which come first, the chicken or the egg? In this case, the connector would come first or this come first. And I would say, per se, on the list of priorities for Tobago, the connector road is not a priority. All right, and I think that too much effort is going into spoiling the relationship between Trinidad and Tobago, which we need because we are a ward. As long as we are a ward, we will need a good relationship with Trinidad because we can't leave, we can't go anywhere, but we can be punished. So when you see the lack of support from Trinidad on a number of matters, which is a number of matters, we talk about the airline industry, the port, etc., and even crime, etc., it is because Trinidad is also rebelling. They're also pulling back and say, okay, you want to play, man? Go ahead. Handle it. And we simply do not have what it takes to handle it. Right? This is why self-determination is so important. And also to prioritizing the issues based on the priority needs of Tobagonians are also important. Anytime a road is being developed, we must ask important questions. All right? How many farmers we have to go inside there, and what type of farms would they create? What type of business going inside there? Maybe what we call this water park. And what type of funding will this generate? What are the projections? In other words, when we cut this road, how much returns on our dollar will we get from that road? Every single road has to be evaluated in that manner. Whether people live inside that road, whether we have animals in that road. And I don't think that a proper cost analysis and cost-benefit analysis was done. It's a very good road. Every road is important, but it's a priority. I don't think that's a top priority among the needs of Tobago. And that's my personal view.
All right. Well, Mr. Duke, I just want to thank you for being on with us this morning. We are out of time for this interview, but I mean, we're definitely looking forward and to see how the situation develops, whether there will be some sort of cooperation between you and Mr. Augustine going forward, and, you know, how you will enter into the election campaign together or separate, depending on how the situation works.
I'll assure you, the PDP is coming with a bang. Big bang. Expect that.
All right, great. I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
And viewers, please don't go anywhere. We have a lot more coming up for you after the break.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are switching gears now to what's been happening in the private sector, what's been happening in the economy of Tobago, because now I'm being joined by the chairman of the Tobago division of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and that is Mr. Curtis Williams. So special good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Williams. How are you doing?
Good. Good morning, Candice. Morning to your viewers and listeners in Tobago Updates. It's a pleasure being here this morning.
Now, from all reports, from all accounts, from people within the tourism industry, this Easter was not a very good Easter. In terms, the numbers were lower than they have been in years, pre and post COVID and so on. So, how are things going, business-wise, in the economy? How was it for the Easter?
Well, Candice, from the numbers, I read a couple articles over the weekend, and the Hotel Association indicated that the numbers wasn't as they expected. The villa folks and them did a little much better. There were a lot of folks in villas across the island. What we didn't see is that aggressive crowd. That aggressive crowd towards the Easter as we had before. So coming out, the dropping of the Tobago Jazz Experience, we knew that event was to bring that crowd, the international night and all that good stuff was to happen on that particular weekend, and that used to be some stimulant for us on the island. There was that downfall, and we didn't have that Tobago Jazz Experience. So that aggressive crowd wasn't there. So we can see now that Easter was just a bit, probably 60 out of 100%, and not the numbers that we are accustomed seeing in the years gone by. I know there were satellite events across the island. On the Esplanade, there were lemonade and some other events, and they were well attended from the promoter's point of view. They even one upcoming event sometime next week. I remember the promoter called me and asked for some support in what way we can, because apparently he's not getting support from the corporate or even the THA in terms of him moving forward. So he's asking us to see what we can do. There's nothing much we can do, Candice. We are NGO and we're operating with a zero budget. But as much as we can, we will give him the support to see that event, really come to pass.
So things are not so well.
No, definitely. Things is not 100%. We look forward to the summer vacation, July, August. We see the Great Fred folks pulled out. And we're hoping that some local promoter come to the fort and really take up the void. So we're appealing to the promoters out there, the local ones, Trinidad, Tobago, if you can come forward and take up that void that, we used to have around that summertime. I know for sure for the Tobago Carnival, the bookings are approximately 30 to 40%. Villas have been booked as we speak, so we expect a bumper Tobago Carnival. But we have all these other events around leading up to the Tobago Carnival that we are asking promoters to come forward and take up the gap. Now, Candice, we need a game changer for Tobago. As you realize, the one-off, the sudden knee-jerk activity can't pay the bills.
Yes, Tobago Carnival is not enough.
That's correct. So we need a sustainable industry going forward. Tourism industry need to be sustainable going throughout the year and not just these little events happening every 3 months or so. That really you can't do a projection with that. And if we had to look at what the banks want, we need a sustainable plan. We need something to be well thought out and put to the full. So we, the private sector, have to be the one to lead this thing in a Candice. We can't leave it up to the government or the THA. We, the private sector, definitely have to lead the charge in going forward.
I mean, and I want to also ask you, who do you think is responsible? Is it politics that's responsible for the situation that we have now? Or is it other factors? Because we're also hearing from the tourism industry that the way that people travel is different. For instance, when Tobago was a place that Trinidadians would consider first, they're not considering Tobago, they're considering to go elsewhere. And that is, aided by the fact that Caribbean Airlines has opened up their routes and, has increased their flights to other destinations and so on. So I just want to get from you, where does the problem lie?
Well, Candice, we need to sit back as a team and look at this in a holistic manner. And hence the reason why we will call up one day, Candice, soon you will see we call a meeting of all the various stakeholders so that we could sit in one space and discuss this thing in a meaningful manner. So if we need this game changer, we want to invite foreign direct investment. We want to invite foreign airlines to come into our space. When they do come here, Candice, we have nowhere to put them. Our hotels the standard of our hotels are what grade star 2. We don't have 5 stars. So these guys want 5-star, 4-star hotels, and we don't have those on ground, as you can see presently. So hence the reason why we have to start the conversation from that direction. So we need to build up on our capacity in terms of hotel room, the stock, and the proper room stock. So soon we'll have a brand new terminal building, and I don't want it to be a white elephant down there. And we've just probably ATR landing ever so often, and then that's it. That don't make any sense, Candice. So we have to market it from now. So we have to start off having that conversation. All of us have to sit in that room, all the stakeholders, the tourism folks, the dive folks, the tour folks, the taxi drivers, the maybe personnel from the tourism agencies and other officials have to sit in that space and discuss how we want to build a sustainable tourism environment. Because right now, everybody doing everything in a little pocket here, that don't make any sense at all, Candice. If we're going to build tourism as it ought to be, we need to sit together, both private sector and other stakeholders, to push this thing forward.
Do you think that you've been getting the support from the politics side of things? And I'm talking here about both the THA and the central government. Do you think you're getting the right kind of support in terms of, trying to figure out what our way forward is to fix it?
Well, Candice, as we can see, St. Vincent just opened Sanders.
Yes.
And I mean, you're amazed to see the kind of thing, the ripple effect from Sanders being opened in St. Vincent, Grenada. Candice is amazing, So you can imagine that was Tobago. So Candice, we need to fix it. And the government, the THA are enablers. We can't look forward to them to fix half of the issues. We, the private sector, have to come with a proposal to the government. Tell the government, listen to me, you are the enablers. Okay, enable it for us now. Let's move forward with it. But we must be the one, the private sector must be the one leading the charge. We can't leave it up to the politicians because you know how politician goes. They go up, they go down. They go hot, they go cool. And it's all about a timing. Now we know his election coming around, so everybody probably excited now, and we're going to see lots of things happening because we know coming either later this year or early next year, they're going to be 2 sets of election. So things going to be real booming. But that's not what we want for tourism. We need something sustainable, and hence the reason why we are asking all the players to come. Let's sit and have that decent conversation.
And then, you know, what's also been happening on the ground for the smaller businesses and things, of course, because we know Tobago, it's mainly small businesses and so on. And I asked a question in the sense that, you know, we are still struggling with what's been going on with the ferries. Like, we still have the complaints where you can't book a ferry ticket more than a month in advance. And we have the Cabo Star going on dry dock pretty soon. You know, how are those issues affecting the way we do business here in Tobago?
Well, Candice, the Cabo Star is already on dry dock.
Right, it's already on dry dock, sorry.
On dry dock. Basically, what we noticed with it, well, again, we had conversation with the Port Authority about the Cabo Star. It was sometime around January, and they indicated that the Cabo Star will be going on dry dock. And we alerted our team, we alerted as much as our members and other business owners on the island. I'm predicting that the Cabo Star will be on dry dock, put your house in order, that kind of thing. Candice, is not an easy task doing that, because some of us, based on our routines and our warehousing, we can't stock so much, and we have to do it on a weekly basis, as the case may be. So we are trying with it, and then up to now we haven't heard anything about the replacement vessel. We're still in a limbo. So we don't want to wait, because it's 3 weeks this vessel is going to be down for. It's going to hurt some of the smaller guys on them on the ground, and we can't wait. And I think it's time the Port Authority come now and say, well, okay, your replacement vessel will be ABC. You're going to have this amount of length, this whatever. You can sail on one time and all that good stuff. Candice, those are critical information needed. The business community need those information today. And to date, we haven't heard anything from the Port Authority. We're still waiting. We're trying to call them today to get an update as to what's happening, because you can't operate business in a vacuum. It's like, you know, you just don't know where your next move going to be like. Folks, we can't operate business like that. So hence the reason why we look forward to the Port Authority coming to the fore to that. Caribbean Airline. Caribbean Airline, I think it's time we have a conversation with Caribbean Airline. Throughout the Easter, I knew just about the week before the Wednesday, Thursday, we saw a lot of stuff on Facebook. And the Caribbean Airline management flew into action, and they got something sorted out. They even went across in Tobago, sorting out over that Easter weekend to make sure things run smooth as possible. All right, so they were kind of cleaning up this standby list, because the biggest problem for us is you can't get a booking, so you go on standby. You just go up to the airport because you need to get to Tobago, and that was the biggest challenge most Tobagonians or Trinidadians face coming to Tobago. And we see that the management was there trying to sort it out, whatever they can put a jet in between, move passengers accordingly. But we need something more sustainable than that, Candice. We need predictability, because there's no way you could predict what's going to happen, and that's the big problem. I want to come to Tobago, and I just can't come. And hence the reason why we just cancel and probably go somewhere else.
And then, of course, the longer it continues, the more people do not consider Tobago.
That's correct.
They have no reason to consider Tobago.
There's no reason to Tobago as a destination of choice. And I mean, just listening to the Hotel Association, this chairman stated that Carl, I've been the direction. Carl have been studying more of the international flights instead of the domestic routes and some of it. But I think it's high time now Carl come and have a conversation with us, both the Hotel Association and the Chamber. Let's sit and chat about the Airbridge issue, and let's see what is your challenge, and then we will know where to go. And I believe it's all maybe a government thing, because CAD is run by the Ministry of Finance. So it would be more of an economical thing than anything else. But let's see what we can do. We must be able to meet at some neutral ground, both the airline and all the other players in the game, so that we could assist the traveling public coming across to Tobago, especially at these event times.
And then also when it comes to the ferry itself, even the fast ferry, because we're not allowed to, you can't book more than a month in advance. Have you had that conversation with the Port Authority about why this continues to be a problem? Because you can't tell people, okay, well, you know, there's limited flights, but you could always try the ferry, but then you can't book the ferry in advance.
I think our last conversation with the Port Authority, they indicated that they're building out a new system. And with that new system, I think you were able to book, more than 4 weeks in advance. So I give the Port Authority the moment to fix what they need to fix, and then we will judge them based going forward. Throughout the Easter, they did a good job. I'm not saying no, they did a fairly good job. And even though we didn't say, the police did a great job, Candice, the TTPS, Mr. Hazel and his team, and they did a tremendous, great job. I see a lot of stop and searches. I see a lot of police officers around, and I felt comfortable. I felt really, really comfortable. It's the first Easter I felt so comfortable. I don't know if it's because the crowd was less, but the amount of police and patrols, I felt extremely comfortable with all the stop and searches, etc. And I believe the event, we didn't have any unforeseen, no major accident or incident accordingly. But Candice, it was a really good effort on the police service. They really come forward and do what they ought to be doing. Now we needed to continue. I don't want the police to get hot and cool, and that's the problem. Don't get hot and cool. Continue the stop and searches. Continue all the different raids that they have to do. Continue. Let the thing be a continuous thing. We noticed with the patrol of the Coast Guard and the Reef and so forth. Let that be a learning lesson for the Reef operators. And I think education is the best thing. So instead of the Coast Guard going out there and doing what they have to do, I think we ought to bring in the Reef operators, all these boat captains, bring them into some sort of meetings and have discussion with them. Let the Coast Guard be present, let the police be present, so you can educate the guys on them what the rules and regulations are, and then assist in what way, because some of them may need some assistance in probably putting together the requirements for the rules and regulation. And then from there now we start to push the enforcement. But education is important. These guys need to be educated, because I'm reading the article, the guy failed to produce his different permits and all that good stuff. And then he probably was upset. Probably have them on board.
But he was also warned before.
And then he was warned before. So at least education, because that industry or those couple of guys is a different set of guys, and they need to be educated as the way going forward, because we thought for some strange reason the Coast Guard don't have powers at this. I don't understand that. The Coast Guard have all the powers to stop and search any vessel at the high seas, right? So I don't see why you're thinking that the Coast Guard cannot board this vessel and they cannot stop. No, the way they manage in which they do it is the next thing that could be discussed, and the type of weapon they carry. Those are the resources they have. They have to carry the weapons, because we don't know what they're going out there to meet. And but again, those are conversations they could have. The fisheries department could have those conversations with the reef tour operators and all the marine folks on them. They could have those conversations with the Coast Guard and have a meaningful thing. And we don't need to be fighting and things on social media about a child crying and this. All of that could be put aside, and let's sit and have conversation first. Okay.
Now, one of the things that happened in the past month was a delegation from Tobago went to Ghana for a trade show in Ghana, and some of the members of the chamber were part of that. Is there anything that you could tell us about? Anything came out of that trade show?
Well, my vice chair, Demi John Cruikshank, visited Ghana. He was part of the team with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and a whole team from Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturing Association. The THA was there, and I think soon the THA and my vice chair will give you all some information on that trip and how successful it was, and all the good information coming out from that trip. But it was a meaningful trip. And then, of course, you also were able to have a meeting with the Commissioner of Police
as well. What can you share with us? Because of course, crime continues to be an issue, even though, as you said, Easter was good for the business community. You guys were safe, but, for the rest of the time, it still is an issue.
Yeah, Candice, coming out of that meeting with the police commissioner of police and her executive, there's some low-hanging fruits that we were looking at, school violence, and how best the business community could partner with the NTPA, that's the National Parent Teachers Association, and through to come up with some sort of plan as we can assist in going forward with the schools, because they need assistance in driving some of these plans. We also talk about the community policing, where the community police were asking us to adopt a club. They have a lot of police youth clubs around, and some of them are suffering badly for resources, and they're asking us to adopt one of them, and let's move forward and see how best we could assist them. Sometimes they just have simple things. They may have some football game, and they may just need a cooler with water, and we can give them a cooler. We can give them 2 cases of water, and I mean that goes a long way. And some of them may be supporting just getting probably a bowl or a bat, or the case may be. We, the business community, because we operate within the environment, and they supported us. And I think it's time we can give back to all these little communities, whether it's in Plymouth, whether it's in Castara, whether it's in Charlottesville. We, the business folks, we operate throughout the island. And I think we could give back in small doses across. And we mightn't give big. Our coffers are not that huge, but we could at least give something to show some gratitude to what we have been doing, what they have been contributing to us. Yeah.
And then coming back down even to the businesses on the ground here, because like I said, we know that the economy is not flowing as well as we hope it could be. But how are the businesses doing themselves? How are they able to, to face these challenges?
Well, Candice, as some of we're pulling back from the tourism sector, we will see that they're approximately about 50-60% in terms of occupancy, in terms of things going on the island. And then there are other businesses that they will see at times that they're just about probably 50% just breaking even, paying their bills and surviving. And that's what's happening right now. There's not that big stir happening on the island right now. No big stir to say that we have construction up high and there's 500 folks employed in some different things happening on the island. That's not the idea going on now. The airport project is still going ahead. We're hoping that we could view the project, because we, the business community, don't have a clue what's going on behind those fences. We don't know. I asked, and I did ask, and I will continue asking the authorities, those in charge of the project, that if you could give us an insight of what's happening behind those fences, so that we will have a clue, so we could put ourselves in some state of readiness. So Candice, what about the duty-free shops in that area? As it all these duty-free shops going to go to business in Trinidad? What happened to Tobago? We can boom and do duty-free as well. Candice, we are bright people on the island, knowledgeable, and we can get into duty free. Why we can't get into duty free? Why all duty free shops have to be owned from someone in Trinidad coming across to Tobago? There are folks in Tobago who could operate a duty free as well, and there are other entities that could operate the car rentals and all the different things. We want to know what's happening in this space, so that we could really put ourselves and the Tobago business in line. So we have ample time to get our act together, so that we could grasp at some of the opportunities happening there. And I think it's important, very, very much important, that we get a tour of the facility, have an idea what's happening. We could share that with our members and Tobago alike, and then we can grasp the opportunities that would be presenting itself in that airport project.
And now, as we're getting ready to wrap up the conversation, I have to ask you, are you hopeful that things are going to turn around? Is there anything that you're seeing right now that gives you that positive outlook?
Well, Candice, I see something going to happen. And as I tell you, it's the election. Something going to happen. Candice, I'm remembering a narrative about tongue and country planning, that the guy who was building this little thing on the highway, on the road, and they wanted to break it down. And it was the regional corporation that was behind him to break it down, not tongue and country. So we in Tobago, we want to do something, and we had to go and get tongue and country approval. So we had to get Trinidad approval to do something in Tobago. And I don't think that make any kind of sense. Even Tunapuna Regional Corporation is the one governing their area. San Fernando City, the city of San Fernando governs their area. The mayor have so much authority down there. The mayor could do so much things, and we in Tobago cannot do anything. We don't even we are not in charge of our own space in terms of town and country planning, able to assess, to do our planning. Candice, we have some problems. So we had to fix some of these little issues before we could even think about the bigger ones, because we may get the investors to come in, but then we got to get approval from everybody around the table, and that's going to be what? Another issue again. So that's my little tidbit I could give you, and I wish, and I definitely see things going to happen. Election on the horizon, things definitely going to happen, but we have to keep the politicians on them at bay. That again, they will run hot and they will run cool. Election time, they will promise you the world. After election, they're going in the corner. And that's something that we at the business committee, we definitely will hold all parties accountable. You said something, we're going to hold you accountable for it.
All right, great. I want to thank you so much, Mr. Williams, for joining us this morning. And viewers, certainly thank you for being here and for viewing. So hope you have a safe and wonderful day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise. The energy fill the sky.